Hi, I'm Robin Bronk, CEO of the Creative Coalition. We are the nonprofit advocacy arm of the entertainment industry. Our members are actors, writers, producers, directors, executives, artists, fine artists, people who care about the arts. And today we're getting to talk to co-directors of the Oscar-nominated film Porcelain War. I'm here with Brendan and Slava, who co-directed this magnificent piece of art, this moment-defining film, 6,000 Miles Apart. I want you to introduce yourselves as your moms would, as a proud mom would. So, Brendan.
That might go on for a little while, but I can give you the abridged version that I'm Brendan Bellomo, co-director of Porcelain War. Pleasure to be here with you, Robin. Thank you.
I am Slava Leontyev. I am co-director of Porcelain War from Ukraine. I am artist. I am former soldier and very first time filmmaker.
How did you guys get together?
Our connection was very unique. It actually turns out that one of our producers on the film grew up under Russian oppression in communist Poland, and she became a political refugee when her parents escaped to the United States. And about 8 years ago, she discovered Anya and Slava's porcelain figurines, the artwork that they make, and they reminded her of home. She shared them with me, and I was completely blown away. I had never seen anything like them. I couldn't believe that something so tiny, I mean, they're really about this big, could have such enormous stories on their surface. And the four of us actually began collaboration to work on an animation together. And then Russia invaded Ukraine, and we called up Slava and Anya to find out if they were okay when they were leaving. And Slava said, "We're going to stay. We're going to keep making our art at night." I said, what are you doing during the day? And he told me for the very first time, I mean, I had absolutely no idea that he was in the Ukrainian special forces, that he was teaching everyday people, peaceful people, to use weapons. And in this moment, there were these two forms of resistance happening. One of them, this unexpected um, kind of uprising of civilians to be able to protect not just their loved ones, not just their home, but their culture. And then the creation of new artifacts of culture, new art. And I was absolutely amazed with this. And I wanted to help Slava share his story with the world. So we wanted to bring cameras in, but you can't exactly just, ship something at FedEx and have it arrive into a war zone with any reliability. So we made a very, very fortunate discovery that there was an amazing network of volunteers, and it was actually a makeup artist from New Jersey that was stockpiling bags of medical supplies in her apartment. She would fill it up. You could barely walk. It'd be 50 or 60 duffel bags of medical aid, and she would bring it, to the airport in 3 trucks, fly to Poland, drive it into Ukraine. She said, "I'll carry the camera to Slava." But we had an enormous problem. You'll hear today that Slava's English is excellent, but at the time we couldn't speak the same language at all. We could only communicate over Zoom with an interpreter. We were 6,000 miles apart. We were separated by time zones, by countries, by the largest conflict in Europe since World War II. And to even begin was an enormous challenge because Slava and our cinematographer, Andrei, who I'll tell you more about shortly, they never used a camera before. And so we realized we need to create an impromptu film school, which we did over Zoom. And they learned to translate their artistic instincts into cinema. And what they captured became this film.
Slava, what about you? You're an artist. You're also in the middle of a war zone. You're also dealing with your art, with your fellow citizens. Did you ever think that you didn't have time to create this beauty?
It's so true. That time I was completely focused on my unit, on security of my family. I was really focused on every mission of my unit, and anyway, teach civilians to use weapon when thousands of completely unprepared uh, seniors and pregnant girls and uh, people with pretty bad health came to army as volunteers to defend their homes and get this AK rifle. They never touch any kind of weapon before. How dangerous this situation was, and you can you know how I was focused on all these issues, and it was first weeks of war. But when Brendan told me about this idea, about this project, start to film something, I, of course, I understood what kind of opportunity we have. And it was also really meaningful because this war, this kind of war, it's not just colonial war. Because Russia trying to rebuild Russian empire, Russia trying to erase our culture and our identity, and because this, our culture is so important part of our resistance right now. Our culture, it's source of our resilience, but also it's one of the ways of our resistance. And because they trying to erase our identity and our lifestyle and our art. Since the start of big wars, so many our artists and actors and writers and any people who contribute culture was killed on this war, on front line, in their own kitchens and bedroom, because Russia shelling districts of apartment houses, and it's especially sad killed on this in this concentration camps or in their apartments in on occupied territories, because it's true genocide, especially for the people who contribute culture. And we cannot fix this anyway. Nobody can bring these people back to life. And because this future of our culture is really damaged, and it's our duty, our responsibility now to make something instead of these people, to rebuild future of our culture and art. And because this, I felt huge responsibility from the very beginning. I was very motivated, and I feel this kind of responsibility. And also, I was under pressure of other kind of responsibility because I was serving in Ukrainian army at that time, and I was able to film something only because my unit completely supported us. And when I picked up my camera, someone picked up a rifle in my place. And I asked one of our participants, this teeny Katya, amazing girl, now you are in fight instead of me. Is it good? Is it really good? And her answer was really meaningful. She told me, your weapon now, your camera is much more impactful weapon as rifle, and let's do what you're doing. Because this, I was really motivated, and also it was such a happy and believable experience to work with Brandon and our team. I really appreciate collaboration. I'm trying to work with in collaboration all my life. We are Anya and me. We create our art in collaboration, but it was absolutely new level of collaboration. This to make movie, and Brandon's tutorial was amazing, and he really inspired us every our Zoom meeting.
Brandon, you're 6,000 miles away. Were there times when you thought, I can't keep pushing them? Or how did you feel?
The thing that ends up happening in a situation like this is
And by
exhaustion.
the way, when you say situation like this,
Yeah.
this is a groundbreaking situation that you are so that we, no one else has gone through this. So
I think it's utterly unique, perhaps. What happened is any normal type of extremely difficult film shoot project, post-production, production, all of it, it drains you. It's incredibly stressful. But when you're working with people who not only do you know they're not professional soldiers, they're everyday people, and they're choosing to volunteer. They feel they don't have any other choice but to do this, and they're on top of that, they're holding up hope for their community. They're helping each other. They're seeking out creativity in the midst of loss and chaos. It's absolutely inspiring, and it gives you a source of infinite energy, creative energy, physical energy, emotional energy. And it pulled us forwards despite that distance. And Slava talks a lot about collaboration. People may assume, okay, you're working on Zoom, you're with a translator, you have all of these things separating you. That's not something that ultimately will stop the collaborative spirit. What happened is this. We were working together over Zoom, and during these times the translator was converting our speech to another language. We would begin to sketch, and these sketches became storyboards, blocking diagrams, ideas for shots, concepts, paintings that we love, pieces of cinema. We realized we were fluent in the language of visual arts. We reviewed dailies every day. We would get on Zoom, we would look at the footage, we would screen share, we would mark things up, we would talk about sound, we would talk about music, we would talk about, what happened is at the very beginning, I said, Slava, is there anybody that you know who can just press record on the camera? And the lesson one with them was, okay, where's the on button for the camera? And he says to me, I know someone. Let me send you something. He sends me a folder of photographs of oil paintings, and they're masterworks. And I'm not talking about like you go into a gallery and there's, a tree and a mountain, things that moved me physically. I mean, incredible. And I said, this is a cinematographer already. He just needs to learn how to become a camera operator. And that's something you can teach. You can't teach somebody to be a DP. Not going to happen. And so Andrei's work, it was absolutely remarkable. From the very first day he began to shoot, there are shots from roll one that are in the theatrically released version of the film. That's how strong he is as a storyteller. And it was the same with Slava and with Anya. And our, the depth of our, the way that we had dialogue about what we were going to do and supported them, it was really, really special and very, very, pretty intimate process despite the distance. And originally I wanted to go with the crew. We were planning to traveling, camera operator, boom operator, everything. But they'd sent back, we sent one camera in advance, and they sent back some footage, and it was so incredibly personal. It was so intimate. If you bring in a team and you're then observing that, it shifts the dynamic. And so I realized, we were discussing this, our team here, we had this thought, this is the most pure form of verite cinema possible. They're filming their own story, and it'll work because they're visual storytellers for decades already. And that was really, really special. So we decided that the distance would become an advantage. Everything that was working against us, we would play the opposite. And that's just it's a creative attitude to not let that stop the story.
Slava, what was the most challenging or one of the most challenging, because I'm sure there's a lot, scenes to film? What comes out in your mind that I want people to, I'm sure everyone's watched it, to rewatch the film and find that moment that it was so challenging for you to record?
For us, for me, and for Andrei, and for my friends from my unit who get these body cameras and collect all this amazing footage from front line, from the middle of Battle of Bakhmut. This work was a kind of decompression, because we all are regular civilian people. We're trying to keep our state of mind what we have before the war, and it's really such relief to make between the battle something beautiful and something special. Uh, we we filmed a lot. We filmed all our everyday activity. It was easy for me because Andrei was amazing from the very beginning as director without any experience. I stress Andrei all time. I interrupt him. I told Andrei, I need this angle. I need this motion. What you doing, Andrei? I asked you about something else. But when I saw footage what Andrei filmed, Andrei is his perfectionist. He answered me, Slava, okay, I already filmed all what you want. Now I am trying something extra, something else. And when I watch this footage, I pretty soon understood his solution is much more interesting than any of my ideas. And because this, I I forgot about camera. I knew Andrei is here. All footage will be okay, and we were focused on our everyday activity. We really were focused. When I taught civilians on shooting range, I worried about these people. I really worried about these people. And I was completely concentrated on their security and their skills just to survive in their future. And when we worked on our porcelain, we were completely focused on this process because nobody knew what time will be next blackout. Maybe we never finish this work. So we never build something artificial. We never we never build special situation for our movie. We filmed our everyday activity and except our figurines for animation, we never create something artificial for this movie. Sometime because we used a lot of metaphor source of many our cinematographer solutions and metaphors in movie is in Anya's painting. Anya's artistic language is very metaphoric, and all these snails and dandelions appear because we already had this in Anya's painting. Sometime new connection appear in absolutely unusual way. For example, one day I filmed how dandelions parachutes falling down. We use dandelions like metaphor of how fragile all is in time of war, how easy is blew away people's life or whole cities. But I never thought about these parachutes like metaphor of danger. One day we filmed these dandelions and parachutes who fell down to empty shells of snail. It was amazing day and beautiful light, and I was really excited at that time. One of my friends, I get called. One of my friends told me about their unit was under attack, under missile attack, and our mutual friend was killed because of this attack. And he asked me about medicine to help him keep calm. And so this peaceful state of mind was ruined. But I not told Brendan about this at that time. But almost in the same day in Los Angeles, Brendan started to use these parachutes and fell down as metaphor of shelling, metaphor of bombing. Sometimes it was really weird connection through air and distance.
Brendan, you were basically, yeah, as I keep saying, I think you broke a lot of walls here. You were embedded with people whose lives were in danger, and going sort of what Slava said. What was your fear that by filming them or by leading this, did you ever feel like you were making people more of a target, or what were the struggles that you had?
Yeah, that's a very important question. We talked about this from the very beginning. And what Slava articulated was that, in Ukraine, there's really, in essence, no way to be in more danger because a 9-month-old baby or a grandmother in their homes is as much of a target as anyone. And, Russia is indiscriminately shelling residential neighborhoods. It's terrible. So by participating in the film, what we decided to do is to honor that bravery and protect it with every single type of resource that we had and that was necessary. And this constituted a lot of footage coming in that we made sure was in an encrypted pipeline. It would arrive not into the cloud where it would be potentially vulnerable, but into air-gapped, firewalled servers. And we worked with ex-Homeland Security and cryptography experts. We worked with investigative journalists, and we also worked with fact checkers that were verifying the information that we were receiving. In addition to this, the final edit of the film we decided would not include anything that was less than 3 months old because we were getting all of these synchronized perspectives of missions. And if they'd been, 90 days old, the tactical value is no more because the units moved on to something else. So there was an enormous amount of thoughtfulness that went into that. That said, it's just, you recognize the risks that everybody are taking is something that they wanted to share. And there was a reason behind this. I was talking with Slava's unit, and they said, if we can capture what we go through when we get up in the morning, maybe somebody else won't have to be in our shoes in the future. And that encapsulates the entire motivation. And it's a remarkable act of journalistic bravery that they chose to take 15 cameras, compact cinema cameras, body cameras, drones, in addition to the ones they use in the missions, camera drones, and to choose creativity, to choose storytelling as a part of what they could do in this time.
What was for both of you, and Brandon, why don't you start on this one? What was one of the scenes that were filmed that had you just on the edge, biting your nails, and you were just praying that it all came out?
Well, that's not a short list, but the one that comes to mind was Slava was very interested in visiting this river that they loved, and they might find some mushrooms there, but they would want to go swimming. And he was on his way there, and he encountered a minefield, and he makes the decision not to turn and go somewhere else, but to work on removing these mines, not only so that they can get there, but so that other people in the community that love it are going to be safe. And then they go and they proceed to film. And it's that attitude. It encompasses a couple of things. One, there's this incredible sense of camaraderie, of protecting everybody, of sacrifice. There's also this sense that, and Anya talks about this, Slava talks about this in the movie, that they're not choosing to succumb to fear, to cower in the basements and hide. They're choosing to live. That's the ultimate act of defiance. It's not going to be controlled by this aggression, all these terrible things. You're going to continue to find joy and hope. And it's like, that's remarkable. So that shift, that moment encapsulates a lot of really important ideas. I mean, I think it's a really intrinsically Ukrainian value, but it's also something that's relatable. I think it's a humanistic value. I think this story, while it occurs in the borders of Ukraine, it's about all of us. I mean, if you look at the world, democracy and freedom are at risk now more than ever, but you see people within a war zone choosing hope, choosing creativity, choosing to really do something to assert that their existence and their uniqueness is important. It's remarkable.
Slava, what about you? Was there a moment? What was a moment when you struggled? Keep the cameras on, turn them off, leave this wherever you were.
When I filmed, I just filmed, but in this collaboration, I get something absolutely new and unusual, and Anya too. We get from outside, from our team, unbelievable opportunity because the animation Uh, it was not clear for me when Brendan and Daniela uh, told me about this amazing idea. It was not clear for me. I not understood from the very beginning why we really need animation in our movie. But the first animation gave us language to tell about terrors of war without showing them like a news does. And it was pretty meaningful. This, how Anya called it, children's language. It's something so important and so clear to explanation and to just to bring to people uh, something most important, some main point of our story. And it came to us from this collaboration from this amazing Blue studio in Poland, because we thought about this. We decided to use snail as metaphor of our episode past, because snail with shell, like metaphor of home, it's so cozy. It looks so safety and security. And we choose this owl as a metaphor of really dark time, because owl is creation of night. And we choose Pegasus as a metaphor of future, for our dreams for the future. We decide, we find this solution, and Anya painted all this. Anya painted all this for our stories, but it was not enough, because Anya never paint ruins, destruction, violence. Anya's language is very metaphoric, and she painting something about really important things, but never literal. But because the animation, because the work of this studio, who investigate all Anya's works, 20 years of works, they get from us all photos of all our works, and they were able to work in Anya's style and contains her stories and include stories what we told. And this independent life of Anya artistic language, using to illustrate what Andrei or me or Anya told about this war, it was something absolutely special for me. And because this I received from this movie much more than I put inside.
And you did, and I know we're almost out of time, but we have this gift of animation. It's a gift in the film. Brendan, talk a little bit about that. And
I think the most crucial decision is only to include within a film things that are needed. And a lot of people talk about, I want to put animation in my film, a documentary effect, something like this. This is never the solution. What we had is Anya and Slava's language is in essence a frozen cinema. They're already creating seasons. They're traveling to the past, the future. They're showing movement, emotion. Slava was saying to me, we've never used time before in our work. And I said, Slava, it's everywhere in what you do. We're going to melt this with animation. And yet we're never going to leave Ukraine. We can't go into some Disney world of 2D animation or something like this because they cannot leave. So we decided we must put the drawings, these moving drawings, 7,000 individual animated movements that were created by Blue in Poland. We would map them onto the glaze of the figurines within Ukraine. What does that mean? That means that every moving brushstroke that they make in Warsaw is an invitation for the glaze to reflect that very sky that Slava and Andrei filmed the Pegasus under, the very branch that it sits on, the exact green. It would just be a conduit for it to become the same type of paint that they use in Ukraine. And so we worked very hard on this. And it is an essence of, film is driven by technology, but you can only use technology in deep service of art. Otherwise, it's a lie or it's self-important, and those things had no place in this film. So we were very lucky that the collaboration of many artists, we were working on the effects part of this in Sydney, Australia, editing there, translation there, sound there. We were working on animation in Poland. We're doing editing in Los Angeles. Many artists are coming together, and that's, I think, the power of cinema. And animation is just another form of cinema that was particularly perfect for Anya's language.
Well, as an audience, I will say it's a gift within a gift. That what you gave us.
I also received this gift because, okay, I filmed process of painting. I filmed from different direction. I filmed all these figurines, but finally I received these impressions from this animation. It's a gift for me. I'm also part of audience of this animation.
I think we all were. That was the magic of it. I think it was surprise for everybody because it's a joint creation. I think that's part of the thesis is we're coming together. We can choose to not succumb to the darkness of a situation, but assert our dreams or our truth, our emotion, and say we could share this. It may make a difference.
And talking about making a difference, there's so much. There's so many levels of this movie, this film, that an audience member can walk away with. What do each of you want the audience to walk away with?
I could begin with something short. I think for me, we were very concerned from the very beginning of this idea of delabeling. When you see footage on the news, they might say, this is a soldier, here is a refugee. That is an inadvertent form of dehumanization. This labeling says, oh, okay, you can put this person in a box. I get their story. We didn't want to do this. We wanted to allow for an opportunity for the audience to step into the shoes of everybody who was so brave to tell their stories. And I think within this, we can recognize there's so much that we have in common, that this, this conflict is really affecting people all over the world. It's not just the fate of Ukraine that hangs in the balance. If you see this as, this was an unprompted attack on a democratic country, but you have other authoritarian nations that are watching this. If Russia wins, it might embolden China to attack Taiwan, where they have their sights set. And I think, the way we can express ourselves, our identity, these things are truly important, and cinema is a huge part of that. So I think giving people this emotional truth from within Ukraine, an additional point of view to what you're seeing in the news, can create more dimensionality, more opportunity for understanding.
As for me, war is really dark subject for movie, and people afraid to watch war movie. It's me too. Because war is horrible and disgusting, and nobody wants to be upset. But our responsibility as artists and filmmakers is to bring hope and inspiration to audience from any situation, even from so dark situation. And I hope we are able to bring good news. You can see evil is attacking beauty, but resistance is possible. If regular civilian people are able, in so dark time, defend their independence, preserve humanity, and develop culture, resistance is possible and may be successful. If so, evil cannot win. It's mean a world for me. It's give me hope, and I want to share this hope because our culture is a form of our resistance, but also it's a source of our resilience.